AML money laundering for law firms in the UK.
Today I'll talk about money laundering. As you know, money laundering is nowadays a kind of backbone of any law firm or sole practice, especially for those who are dealing with financial matters, conveyancing, personal injury, or any law firm who does have a client account. Dear colleagues, why we need to know about anti-money laundering. Understanding anti-money laundering, AML, is critical nowadays. Law firms are frequently targeted by money launderers through exploitation of legitimate services, and the National Risk Assessment on Anti-Money Laundering identified legal services as a particularly attractive way for criminals to seek to launder money. Dear friends, it is criminal offense to involve in this process, and people working in this area need to know how to identify the risk and to spot the signs of money laundering. This is very important to know what legislation deals with money laundering. Anti-money laundering is governed by mainly two acts. Number one, the Proceeds of Crime Act 2002 is also called POCA 2002, especially as Part 7, which sets out the principal money laundering offences and connected offences. Then number two, the Money Laundering, Terrorist Financing and Transfer of Funds Information on the Pay Regulations 2017. In short version, it's also called MLR 2017. This act also sets out the due diligence requirements for this kind of offense. If I talk about the maximum penalty for money laundering, so it would be 14 years in prison and or an unlimited fine. Dear colleagues, what is money laundering? I mean, what is this definition? How we can define it? Money laundering is the process of taking dirty money, which is the proceeds of crime, and passing it through legitimate organizations, for example, law firms and banks, to disguise the origin of the money so that it appears clean. There are three phases of money laundering. Number one, placement. Number two, layering. And number three, integration. If you talk about placement, the criminal places cash from criminal activities into the banking system. This stage has become increasingly difficult for criminals, as many organizations treat large amounts of cash with suspicion. Most law firms have a policy limiting the amount of cash client can pay into their client accounts without the money laundering reporting officer's permission. There may be a legitimate explanation for large cash sums, for example, probate or court of protection cases. Dear colleagues, criminals have had to become more creative at getting cash into the system, often looking for cash turnover businesses to provide a kind of front for placement. In this first phase, the risk for the law firm is low. If we'll talk about the second phase, that's called layering. So layering, once the cash is in the system, criminals use it for instructions to create layering or layers to obscure its nature, which gives it the appearance of being clean money. Lovely friends, this instruction tend to be complex and frequent to make it as difficult as possible, especially for law enforcement to trace what the original criminal behavior was. My friends, law firms are often targeted at this stage. And in this phase, phase of layering, the risk for law firms is high. And if I move to the third phase, which is integration, once money laundering, or once the money has the appearance of being clean, it will be used in legitimate instructions. Because it appears clean, this is often the most difficult money laundering stage to detect. Law firms will frequently be targeted at this stage. And in this last third stage, the risk for the law firm is high. Now, in the end of this session, I would like to check our knowledge, what we have learned. I would like to leave a question for all of you. You can answer me privately on my WhatsApp. It's 07858884882, or you can email me. The question is, at which stage of money laundering are law firms not usually targeted? I'll give you 3 options. You need to choose one. Number 1, placement. Number 2, layering. And number 3, integration. I will wait your answer, and at the same time, I will appreciate if you have watched my video and learn about the AML or anti-money laundering information or introduction. I will come with another video for the next stage, where we will discuss about the principal money laundering offenses and connected offenses. Soon I will see you. Until that time, thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.